gang, this is Dave with Systematic Investors Group. Excuse me. It is Monday, October the 17th, 2022, and it's about almost 1:30 Eastern Standard Time. So just wanted to give another quick update. You can see here, just jumping over to the S&P 500. The last time I think that we made a video updating the market, we were talking about, possibly breaking through this trend line here, this top down channel line, or coming back down and breaking this area of support. Now, what's happened is this area of support has obviously become a very, very important sort of line in the sand in terms of determining what the market's going to do. And here we are again. We've been fooling around and playing around in this area for several weeks now, really. You can see here we had this big move off of the recent news. I believe it was I want to say a CPI report. I don't follow the reports too much, but basically we had a bounce here. I'm sorry, this was the move here the other day. You can see here we put in a large kind of doji style hammer. Let me just zoom in on that area, and kind of a reversal day. And you can see this is the daily chart on the left. If we go over to the 60-minute chart, you can see the market sold off and then it kind of just did a U-turn right back through that level, which is pretty typical of news-driven events and reversal type of events. So what's going on right now? Well, we don't really have a clear answer as to what's going on, but if we look at sort of the weight of the evidence, you can see we've got another positive divergence here, positive momentum divergence off of these lows. And you can see here in the RSI, positive momentum. You can see in the MACD, it's starting to go positive, and we're going into a Bollinger Band squeeze with this one red dot day. So what that tells you is the market's consolidated and it's getting ready to make a move. Now that move could be to the upside or the downside. So, I mean, I'm not really going to pick a side here. I have a tendency of believing that, the market is down, and yet we have other forces that want the market to go up. And those mostly being seasonal tendencies. So if we just jump over to the seasonal chart, you can see here we're getting into this mid-October period where the market usually bottoms, and then we go into the Christmas rally. We've been talking about that for the last couple of updates. Having said that, anything can happen in the market. Most of my systematic strategies are flat. I'm just managing a couple of positions, like with the squeeze, pause, sprint strategy. I think it has 4 or 5 positions on, and that's about it. I'm mostly flat in my systematic strategy. So there's really not much going on in the market right now. The pressure is to the downside, but we may be setting up a potential reversal here. Now, would I place any bets on this potential reversal? No, I wouldn't, because if you look at the trend, the intermediate trend is clearly down. Even if I were a discretionary trader, which I'm not, my rules are keeping me out of the market right now for the most part, but I would not be placing bets unless they were just short-term trades off of this support level, with my risk being contained below the low of this hammer line, which is about 35.02 on the S&P futures. So having said that, all I really want to point out today is that this is a very contentious area. This is a very this is a battleground area where we're trying to figure out if we're going to find support and go higher, or if we're going to fail support and and go potentially significantly lower. So I don't have an opinion either way, but I just wanted to point that out. If we look at the Dow futures, an interesting thing happened here. This looks like a double bottom to me. It's a very tight double bottom, but you can see this W pattern here. And then if we were to break this area here, that would sort of confirm that double bottom pattern. And according to measure rules, you would probably double that distance if we did break it and come up somewhere into resistance around around 3,200 in the Dow futures. So that's kind of what I'm looking at. If we get above this level at around 30,545-ish, 30,600-ish, somewhere in and around there. That's kind of what we'd be looking at. If we look at the Nasdaq futures, the Nasdaq futures look a little bit more negative, and we're just kind of playing in that area again. So if we look at the bonds, TLT, you can see that it is it is decoupled, and it is more correlated than inversely correlated, as it usually is with the stock market indices. So the bonds, obviously interest rates are going higher, bonds are therefore going lower. They look like hell. Okay, so if we look at the USD CAD, which I believe has been kind of inversely correlated to the stock market, you can see here it looks like we hit also a momentum divergence, which looks very similar to another chart I'm about to show you, which is kind of unrelated to this conversation, but it's a possibility of what could happen, right? You've got price going higher, momentum divergence in the RSI and MACD. If we look at what that chart looks like now, just take a snapshot in your mind of what that chart looks like, and then take a snapshot of this chart of natural gas. Okay, natural gas looked much the same right in this area where it had this momentum divergence. Same kind of idea, except we didn't have a momentum divergence in the MACD. And then what ended up happening was it just, from that point, it just went lower. Now, this is a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but that's kind of what I expected to happen off of this momentum divergence. And if we go back to the USD CAD, that's kind of setting up the same sort of setup. Having said that, there are a lot of crazy geopolitical events going on, and markets can remain irrational longer than you can stay solvent. So that's just kind of what we're looking at. I'm just going to look at crude oil for a quick second, and it looks like crude oil looks like it broke this trend line, but in order to get something going, it really needs to break the peak of this area in and around here, around 90, maybe $93 a barrel, somewhere in and around that area. So just jumping back and recapping, the US stock market indices are playing in this kind of battleground box area, and it'll be interesting to see what happens going forward here. I'm very curious to see if we're going to get a Christmas rally going into Christmas, and if this this yearly seasonal tendency plays out off of the middle of October kind of bottoming period. Having said that, I'm not holding my breath, and unfortunately, because the way our regime filters are set up, we would probably miss a good portion of this move, because the markets really need to be trending above key moving averages in terms of our sort of regime filters. So having said that, just managing a couple positions in our systems, mostly flat because most of our systems are long side based trading systems. We're not trading any short based trading systems, at least at this point in time, although we're always looking. So I hope that helps. If you have any questions, if you're looking at getting prepared for the next major move, because markets don't stay this way forever. This is a good time to kind of retool, put your strategies together, and get ready for the next sort of major move in the market. If you're interested, hit us up at systematic-investors.com. Have a look at some of the systems we have going on there. And if you have any questions, feel free to just reach out to me through the website. I look forward to seeing you, at a next event or at our next update. All the best.